Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood. Very special guest returning back to the show from Status Coup, Jordan Chariton. Jordan, how you doing today?
I'm well. How you doing, Graham?
I'm excellent. Thank you for joining us. And so I wanted to talk to you because you've put out on your Twitter feed basically the DNC, and this is shocking to me that they're stifling progressives within the party. I'm just at a loss for starters. I've never seen this sort of thing. I'm next thing you know, you're going to tell me that drug dealers are hurting society. I don't know. I just can't believe any of it. But fill us in. So they're still trying to have their sham of a convention or whatever. So tell us exactly what's going on.
Yeah, so there's multiple, committees. You got the platform committee, which I don't put a lot of stock into the Democratic Party platform, but whatever. Then you have the Rules Committee. So the Rules Committee met today, and I found out yesterday, Jeff Weaver, who's Bernie Sanders, political consigliere, basically top advisor, ran Bernie's campaign in 2016. My reporting indicates kind of was not loved by Bernie campaign people in 2016 or 2020. He basically hosted a conference call with the Bernie appointed delegates to the Rules Committee and told them to eat sand and don't make any amendments, proposals for rules changes. Quote, this is what Bernie wants. And that they had already struck a deal with Biden's campaign to extend the super delegates on the second ballot, how that was moved from first ballot to second ballot, to extend that to 2024. So that was apparently Jeff Weaver was saying we cannot propose anything else because we got them to agree to the crumbs of super delegates on the second ballot. Not that they can't figure out a different way to screw and rig the primary. But two of the Rules Committee members I spoke to basically said Weaver was telling them, if you don't abide by this, you're, quote, going against the movement. And
what movement is this? Is this the movement for more oligarchs? What is this movement? What is the movement?
According to Jeff Weaver, the movement that Bernie, has sparked. Obviously, a lot of people not happy with Bernie right now. But it was essentially described to me that Jeff Weaver was bullying the Bernie appointed members of the Rules Committee to just, fall in line and go along because we've made an agreement with Biden's campaign. And then during the actual Rules Committee, which if you got 2 hours to really pull your teeth out, Barney Frank was the chairman, if I need to say any more.
Wow.
And Barney Frank exploited John Lewis's death to chide and voter shame progressives who choose not to vote for Joe Biden, if that tells you anything. But anyway, Brent Welder, who ran for Congress in Kansas a few cycles ago, he proposed banning corporate PAC money to the DNC. And the DNC took the bold step to table that motion. And I just found out, in addition to them taking the bold step to tabling the motion, this kind of gets in the weeds, but this was through Zoom. It wasn't in person, obviously, with COVID. So for the 6 amendments before Brent Welder's proposal to ban PAC money to the DNC, there was no problem with the voter tool for members to vote. No problem. Then when Brent Welder proposed banning corporate PAC money to the DNC, all of a sudden the voting tool was disabled. Bernie delegates were feverishly, reaching out to IT, like, where's the voter tool? They said it was a technical error. And then magically, when a corporate lobbyist that Biden had put on the committee, I'm not making this up, when a corporate lobbyist that Biden had put on the committee voted motion to table that amendment, then the voting tool came back and people could vote. So basically, this was a sham, as we expected, and it seems like Bernie's campaign is going along with it.
Yeah, and of course, that's the thing right there. Of course, the Democratic Party is doing this. Like, none of this is shocking. They're so blatant. I just want to say, why do you guys even do this? Like, why even go through? Just say we're corrupt. We're gonna just do it the way we want to do it. This is the thing. All this. I don't like Donald Trump. I'm not happy he's president in any way, shape, or form. But I understand why some people like him, because he just says crazy. I mean, he's racist, he's awful, but he'll just say, "Oh, we're keeping the troops in Syria to protect the oil." What? Why? Of course. Like he just, and that resonates with some people because this is so obviously such a corrupt scam. Why? But again, the Democratic Party is going to do what the Democratic Party does. The real issue that I have, and I think many of us have, is Bernie just has gone along with this. Bernie, especially now with this pandemic and Trump's just complete mishandling of this, the economic crisis that is looming. This is nothing. There's 28 million foreclosures that are going to happen. Like, we're going to nosedive this economy. Bernie could be unifying the country with his message. No one's asking how we're going to pay for Medicare for all anymore. That ended when this pandemic started. He could be saying, I'm going to do student debt forgiveness. You're going to get UBI. I'm going to get us through this. Just vote for me November. I will get us through this. And instead, he just acquiesces to this utterly corrupt Democratic Party that has these kangaroo elections and there's a committee for the rules of the subcommittee of the corrupt nonsense with the voter, with the memo. It just sounds like the combination of community college bureaucracy with corporate nonsense. Just like, oh, we're going to have a memo for the committee, for the memo of the rules committee of the memo. And then we'll have a voting on the memo of the meeting of the memo of the committee. It's just such bullshit. It's just like either a designed waste of all of our time to get us distracted into this ridiculous horse race, like watching some Real Housewives or some sports thing. Like, how can he keep letting this happen? I mean...
Yeah, it's interesting because I was on the road. I covered him in 2016. I covered him in 2020. Some people think I'm like, a puppet for Bernie, but I've been criticizing him for months. I might not be like ranting and raving like, some of our friends, but, I criticize him when I think appropriate. And one thing that stands out to me is he always talked about at the rallies, when you're negotiating, you don't just start by offering half a loaf.
Right.
You demand the full loaf. So it's one thing if you're going to follow through, he said all along, I'm going to go with the Democratic nominee. Okay, fine. But that doesn't mean just become a robot and do live streams with Biden where it looks like you're being kidnapped and go on cable news basically just clearly you're speaking against, your mantra. And now this, where the DNC, I think it was the platform committee, voted down by an overwhelming majority during a deadly pandemic, Medicare for all, he doesn't say a word. And now today, basically putting a gag order on your own appointees on the Rules Committee, many of whom were surrogates for the campaign or knocked doors for the campaign. It just doesn't make sense. Like, you can, viewers might not agree with him, but you can say, whatever, I think Trump is an existential threat, so I'm going to hold my nose, vote for Biden. Like, you can say that if you're Bernie, but also say to Biden publicly, we demand more. Yeah. We cannot nibble around the edges right now. You got over 50 million people who filed for unemployment. Tens of millions of more are losing their health insurance. That Pete Buttigieg told us was, we want the choice to be screwed and fucked up the behind. So it's maddening because, I've heard from multiple people I spoke with in Bernie's campaign, he's kind of deathly afraid of being Ralph Naderized, and being blamed if Trump wins again. But you're going to be blamed either way. If Trump wins, which I don't rule him out, they'll find a way to blame Bernie. They'll say, well, you didn't go far enough demanding that your voters do it. So it's just crazy to me. And honestly, just look at it. If you even take the time to watch this cringeworthy Rules Committee, it was live streamed. You got Barney Frank as the chair. He's a lobbyist for Wall Street now. You have Maria Cardona, who's a CNN contributor, another lobbyist.
Right.
It's lobbyist after lobbyist after lobbyist, or think tank members running the Rules Committee. You have technical glitches where people can't vote when corporate PAC donations are put out. And it's the same gaslighting if you were active as far back in 2004. Oh, no. We just got to get rid of Bush. Doesn't matter who the nominee is.
Yes.
Or 2016. Doesn't matter. Can't let Trump get in there. They were saying things like, now's not the time for these debates. We just got to get rid of Trump. And it's always going to be now's not the time if we let corporate lobbyists, Wall Street, people on Wall Street run a political party. It's totally corrupt and insane.
Yeah, and it's a lot of this has to go. Look, you and I, ran into each other at numerous Bernie rallies and were covering them for our platforms. And, there was an excitement in the air. And there was all these people, and I would see this very diverse group, and he was really resonating with so many people, and clearly could have gotten a lot of red state voters. He could have done that because he has a working class message. He has a populist message, but it's on him for letting this happen. And the fact that he doesn't want to be Ralph Nader is just like, it's mind-boggling to me. And then, Joe Biden says now's not the time for a revolution. Oh, that's right. Revolutions always happen when things are going great. When everybody's bills are paid and nobody's hungry, that's when revolutions happen. Throughout history, that's typically when they happen. Everybody's doing fantastic. The ruling class is sharing their wealth, and everybody decides then, hey, let's have a revolution when it's convenient for everybody. Like, I don't think the Democratic Party, I don't think they realize we are having a revolution right now. It's not coming. It is happening. For the last 2 months, we have had nonstop protests. We have moms and veterans and chefs walking arm in arm together in the streets of Portland. I mean, we have cities, everybody, and all of these young people who are at these protests. I mean, it's people of all ages, but it's a lot of young people. It's a lot of people like early 30s and younger. And many of them, are getting tear gassed and shot and beaten by the cops. And that's radicalizing them. They're just like, we're done. And what happens when these evictions, the $600 pandemic, that just ended. So if they don't put that back in place, and then you have 28 million evictions on top of that, what is the Pelosi and Barney Frank and even Bernie now, what do they think is going to happen when people can't eat and they're getting kicked on the streets? How do they think they're going to set up another rules committee? Is that what they think is going to happen? We're going to have another vote in the rules committee and the sub chair of the rule. No, they're just going to fucking burn shit down. And they're not going to give a damn what party you're with. Because here's the other thing people are waking up to. The mayor of Portland, the mayor of Seattle, the mayor of Los Angeles, these are all Democrats. These are all Democratic mayors who are sitting there and letting their police departments beat the shit out of people. The mayor of Portland is letting federal troops just snatch people up in unmarked vans, and he went out for a photo op, and he got goddamn tear gassed by him, and he still does nothing. So what is the Democratic Party? When are they going to? It's almost, they're almost as tone deaf as these like Second Amendment Trumpers that don't think federal agents can come snatch them off the streets. Like what? How do you see this playing out, Jordan? Because I'm just mystified here.
Well, I've been saying the same thing as you. I mean, I could tell you when I was getting shot at Standing Rock in North Dakota, I didn't hear Alyssa Milano or any of the wine moms resisting on Twitter against DHS in Portland and elsewhere saying a goddamn thing. Right. I didn't hear them saying a word when Baltimore police were tear gassing, rubber bullets, worse, Freddie Gray riots, Michael Brown, because that was under Obama, right? So now, I mean, listen, it is fascism what Trump's doing, but it's also fascism what happens under Democratic mayors and whatever. But because basically Trump has become the thing, it's not really the actual crimes that are going on under Trump. It's just that it's Trump. Because when the same crimes against humanity, when the same fascist things go on, like, I don't know, the police that we pay for literally blockading a bridge to protect an oil company for 7 months as Native Americans are shot and tear gassed and God knows, that we're told Obama says, let it play out. I mean, the examples go on and on. So the resistance has always been hollow. And that's why, honestly, Democratic Party is very lucky that there are still hot zones all over this country where the majority of people that aren't, MAGA, don't tread on me with a mask, aren't going to go out and congregate. Because when this is under control, I think you have the makings of, you see the George Floyd protests, which were great. I think they're going to be even bigger. I think it's going to be young people and old people. And it ain't going to just be progressives. It's going to be, there's neoliberals who voted for Joe Biden that are facing eviction. Yeah. There's conservatives that, might have not gravitated to the Bernie message. But the bottom line is, to me, this is intentional. We look at gentrification, the real estate developers, the politicians, they want to push poor Black and brown people out. I think they're not, the Democratic Party, the lack of urgency, because they agreed to the original shit sandwich, which was the bailout bill. I mean, they were happy. I have a graphic. Nancy Pelosi drove the getaway car as Trump and McConnell looted the Treasury.
Yeah.
So I think it's intentional. And I think that, you know, if they keep this up, there's going to be a general strike. And frankly, it's not going to be purely nonviolent.
Yeah, I don't want to see I don't want to see violent stuff happen, but I don't see how we get away. I don't see how it. I don't see how you get around this, because when you are beating the crap out of people, when federal agents and local police departments are using tax dollars to beat the shit out of people, people are gonna they've had enough, and again, America's problem has always been its comfortable life produces apathy, right? Americans have never really, you know, when all this stuff happened, you talked about Standing Rock, Freddie Gray, Occupy Wall Street. It was never these numbers of people that we're seeing now, because there wasn't mass unemployment. But now people get kicked out of their homes. Some law-abiding citizen that loves the police and loves the government, and the sheriff comes knocking on their door saying, get out. There's some of those people are going to go, nope. And oh, thanks to the NRA, some of them are going to have guns, and they're going to say, come and get it. Like, you ain't getting it. I'm not leaving. And people can't feed themselves. What's going to happen? I mean, these protests of the last 2 months, you know, I was here in Santa Monica when it happened, and so they had military on our streets for a week and all that, and it was gnarly, but I was like, this is a Disney parade compared to what can happen down the road.
Right. Well, I got to say, I mean, people call out Bernie, and I think it should be called out. I mean, but also, listen, nobody voted for AOC to hear her call Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear.
I know.
And, you know, tweet things, but I don't see mass resistance from the progressive caucus. No, right now they don't have the numbers to actually block Pelosi. You know, they don't have what the numbers that the Tea Party had, but you sure can say this ain't enough. I mean, look at the HEROES Act, for example, which was a messaging bill. They're trying to sneak in, you know, letting lobbyists get small business PPP money, $1 trillion for state and states and cities. I got news for you. I've covered Flint for 5 years. I've seen it in Detroit. I've seen it elsewhere. When you hear federal money going to states and cities, take off about $500 billion, because that's being redirected to donors, real estate developers, nonprofits. It ain't going where they say it's going. And that is a hidden secret that the media never covers. People say, oh, Obama's Congress gave $180 billion to Flint. Yeah? Go ask the people of Flint how much of that went towards water relief. So they're proposing bullshit, when in reality, where is AOC? Pramila Jayapal was the only one proposing this. Why aren't they all just saying, Europe has the same exact virus, they are covering payrolls up to 80%.
Yep.
They're not putting people on unemployment. You know, you're not gonna shame Pelosi or any of them into doing these things if you're not screaming from the top of your lungs. They're only going against Trump because they're being guilted and gaslighted into, you can't speak out against Pelosi or Schumer because you're going to help reelect Trump. Well, I got news for you. The people who are facing eviction and have no health care right now and unemployment, I don't really think it's top of mind whether it's going to be Trump or Biden. I think it's like, how the hell am I going to avoid this in the next week or 2 weeks? So it's disastrous. And you know what? I think Bernie's kind of like the guy who could take you to the water, but he couldn't, you know, help you. Or he's like Moses. He kind of he helped you out of the desert, but didn't bring you to the promised land. But at a certain point, I mean, Bernie Sanders, I've said this during debates and things like this, I think he's been in Washington too long. I think he's naive because I think he thinks by gagging people on the Rules Committee that were appointed by him, by doing these hostage-taking videos with Biden, by only focusing on Trump, I think he thinks that if and when Biden gets elected, that he'll play ball with Bernie.
Oh, God.
And he'll play ball with the progressives. But what Bernie doesn't realize, and I don't say this to mock Graham, but I just say this because this is objectively true, Biden ain't going to be the one making decisions. He might not even make it 4 years. I mean, he's not cognitively there. I've been saying it for a year. So it's going to be VP Harris, which it seems like it's going to be, or, you know, whichever Wall Street titan he puts in a Treasury Secretary, or whomever is donor of the month. You're not dealing with Biden. Look at Obama. He got in there, an executive at Citigroup, pretty much handpicked his whole cabinet.
Yeah.
That's why he didn't pick jail any bankers. So I think Bernie, his motives might have been pure, but I think he's very naive. And, I think a lot, the people we saw at those rallies are kind of being screwed. I mean, I just went on a reporting road trip. I interviewed, I remember in Pennsylvania, I interviewed a couple. They're young. They got a 1.5-year-old kid, both of them unemployed. They're screwed. They're facing eviction. Who's their leader right now? It ain't Bernie.
Well, that's such a great point. I mean, the thing you're talking about is there's no, and I've talked about this on the show recently. There's no real leadership. There's no leadership in this country. You have Trump, who's just a lunatic who has this cult following, and then you've got this ridiculous Democratic Party, and as you've said, even the Progressive Caucus. AOC has 7 million Twitter followers. She could motivate so many people. And Mama Bear, and she'll call out the Republicans. Okay, great, but she won't call out the corruption of the Democratic Party. And when she first got in, it took her about 14 months to acquiesce to their power structure. When she first got in, she was like live tweeting, "Why are there lobbyists at our orientation? Why aren't there labor?" I was like, "Oh man, this is awesome." She called out Pelosi. "Why are we voting? What's the point of having a democratically controlled Congress if we're going to vote to give Trump his border wall?" She did those things, and everyone rallied behind her. And now there's just nothing. I mean, Anna Presley has said she's not going to endorse Biden. Nina Turner has spoken out. I appreciate that, but there's no leader, and it's like. And Kamala Harris is going to be VP, and all these neoliberals are going to go, "Yeah, a woman of color," and I'm going to go and hope more of us are going to go, "She put 120,000 people of color behind bars." There's a video of her mocking people that want more schools and less prisons. So that honeymoon's going to end, and like you say, well, Biden has dementia. He's not mentally sharp enough to be president. If Bernie showed this cognitive decline 6-7 months ago, I would have spoken out and said, "I'm sorry, I love the man, but he can't do this."
Oh my God, if Bernie said I'm an Biden-Obama Democrat or forgot Obama's name, oh my God, Chris Matthews, I mean, he's gone now. They would be literally bringing on nursing home executives to invite him there.
Yes.
It's terrible. And by the way, it gets worse on Harris. I mean, the American Prospect just did a great piece. Harris denied a Supreme Court mandate. The Supreme Court demanded that Harris, when she was Attorney General, decarcerate California's prison population because the health conditions, the overcrowding was to the point where it wasn't safe. Harris fought it. She recommended, well, instead of releasing nonviolent offenders full stop, let's have them go fight the California wildfires. We'll just have them risk their life without training. But it's remarkable. And by the way, I mean, Hillary Clinton picking Tim Kaine was a big mistake, but there's two ways that Biden's going to blow this. Number one, if he completely collapses on the debate stage, which is possible. Bernie in that one-on-one debate with no audience really didn't go at him, but Trump is going to go at him hard. And somebody that's not cognitively well, he could have a full 20, 30 second span where he just completely goes blank, and that would be damaging. But the second thing is Kamala Harris, because that's a great way to depress the vote for young Black people, young brown people, young people in general, because more stuff is going to come out about her. And, I'm all for a person of color, but Biden, he could throw a bone to progressives, even if he doesn't mean it, whether it be even Barbara Lee. I mean, she's not my preferred choice, but she certainly would be a lot better than any of these people. But the problem is the neoliberals, the limousine liberals, are emboldened. They basically, through the help of cable news and Bernie not choosing not to go for the jugular, they survived what looked like Bernie possibly winning the primary. And now they're emboldened to think, oh, no, this progressive pocket, let them have their fun, let them protest, but it's business as usual. There is no progressive uprising. And when you have emboldened, servants of Wall Street, it's bad news. And the loser is us, because honestly, one of my viewers put it well. I mean, your choice is pretty much to die quickly or die slowly.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the choice.
That's it. Trump is a climate change denier. His whole cabinet is climate change deniers. But Biden wants a middle ground on climate policy. Okay, great. Life on planet Earth will get extinct in 2045 with Biden rather than 2040 with Trump. Fantastic. Oh, good. Boy, that makes me rest easy. And my 6 nieces and nephews. Good luck with them.
Hey everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.